Hello, men. This is Man. We are in trouble.
All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 12 of the Man, We're in Trouble podcast. Today, I'm joined by Finn, Alex, and Kevin. And of course, I'm Mitch. Today, we're going to be talking through kind of an important topic, and that's...
We're going to be talking through feelings.
We are going to be talking about our feelings. Thank you.
Manly feelings.
Manliest of feelings.
No. We're going to talk through how we de-escalate our perceived manly feelings in the sense of...
You do this. This is how you drink your feelings.
If we drink... No, this is...
We drown out our feelings with copious amounts of alcohol.
We're going to talk about our feelings today, guys. We're going to talk about our feelings. No, I think this is an important topic simply because I think guys get a lot of... I think there's a stereotype about guys, how we cannot control our feelings in the sense of in society, and how we're always angry. We'll punch a wall if we're frustrated, or we can't necessarily talk through sadness or what we're actually feeling towards one another. And I wanted to expand on that, ask what each of these guys kind of do to de-escalate certain negative feelings so that it doesn't exacerbate or evolve into violent outbursts, while also at the same time how we can talk through more positive and expressive emotions that we want to convey to other people. So that's what I'm kind of envisioning this episode to be about, and hopefully we can have some good conversation with this. So before we get started, and can you reintroduce yourself? It's been a minute since you've been on.
Yeah, I was on episode 1, and then unfortunately I couldn't make it for a few. So now we're on 12, was it?
12, yeah.
Yeah. I think Ed called me Farmer Finn. I think I'm your one non-army friend. Sometimes it feels that way.
Yes. Well, Kevin is not Army, and Matt is also not Army. But yes, you are.
Glad to be back at least.
It is 50-50 today.
Me too. I'm not part of the Army anymore.
Let's not joke about that. What is?
Xi Jinping, fire when ready.
We got him, boys. Wait, somebody's knocking on my door. I'm just kidding.
All right, Finn, tell me what you do. What do you do?
Right now, I'm a software manager at Google. Very soon, I will be in a defense contracting company as a director.
Nice.
Can't say which place yet.
There we go.
So,
No,
I'll be going
Correct.
into the military, I guess, in a sense.
Sure. Alex, reintroduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And what's your expertise
I
in the
just have my
subject?
microphone. I'm just some fucking guy. I don't really have any value to add to these conversations. I'm just here to harass Mitch and be toxic. No, in actuality, I am an electrician, and I build things. I enjoy building things, and I don't know what else. I'm a union member. I'm very active in my union, and yeah, that's all I can think of for the moment.
No, all good. Kevin, what do you do?
Hello, my name's Kevin. I went to school for engineering, but now I sell watches. And yeah, we're just here to talk about our feelings.
All right, quick introduction about me. I'm Mitch, currently in the military. I am in the space industry. I have a degree in engineering physics, have quite an extensive amount of leadership experience, and I am currently getting my master's degree in strategic leadership. So kind of taking that angle from leadership perspectives and bringing it to the table. Not sure if it actually will work, but it's all I got. So
men don't need strategic leadership, Mitchell. Men need feelings,
Yes.
but non-violent ones.
we need to non-violent feelings.
Unless
yes,
it's
but we need
violent
to,
bursts of joy and laughter.
Absolutely.
Some men call strategic leadership just chest hair. It's all you need, man.
You really like that one.
Mitchell, please delete that
There you go.
clip from
Oh.
the video. Blur it out. Blur your cleavage.
blur it out. Be like, I got
The
some of this.
TikTok isn't
chest
ready.
hair.
TikTok
No,
isn't
no,
ready.
keep it. Put this podcast on OnlyFans.
It's only man's. We're
Only
going to start
man's.
something new. All right. You know what? I'm going to have Alex go first this time because the last few times I don't think Alex has ever gone first. I want to hear his wholesome masculine perspective about man's feelings because he probably looks like the least feeling person ever.
Yeah, so I would like to start this this conversation by saying that men do have feelings, and that pretty much sums it up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how do we control them? How do we control our feelings, Alex?
You be a
What's the best
man.
way?
You just be a man and bottle them up, compartmentalize them, stick them away somewhere where they just sit, and then as you continuously add to that and you increase the pressure inside that compartment, eventually it's going to rupture in a very healthy and totally manageable way that isn't going to impact you or those around you. That's how you manage feelings.
Yeah, you get life insurance because you die of a heart attack at 50.
Yeah. So yeah, men and feelings.
And on that note, that completes our episode 12. Thank you, Alex. And
we did it. We
Yeah.
solved the
Everybody.
problem. We
Join again for another tip.
we finally fixed the problem.
Fixed men's feelings.
We did. We done did it. So men also have feelings, and I think a lot of people forget that in our society. Typically, from the time that we are young boys, we are raised by people who enforce this sort of idea that we are only capable of expressing a limited range of emotions. Typically, anger is one of those, and I guess in some situations, maybe extreme forms of like happiness or sadness, but I think we're generally expected to be stoic, and it causes.
Why do you think that?
Why? I couldn't tell you the why. I just know what I experienced growing up and what I've seen in the world around me. And among other people, especially like in the military, seeing all these people who were raised in this way to view masculinity, like people who join the military out of a pursuit of masculinity, all generally, I think, have a similar sort of, I guess, background or starting point. And it's, men are supposed to be these stoic, strong warriors that do not show those outbursts of rage unless it's like, or they don't show outbursts of emotion unless it is through rage or like extreme sadness in the context of on the battlefield, your comrades have fallen in the line of duty and you are sad about that. Basically, yeah, men are not given the space in our society, both from other men and even from women, who, as I've said time and time again, women are also enforcers of gender roles and the way that our society currently, I guess, manages those sort of gender expectations. But we're not given space to explore our emotions in a healthy way, and then we grow up to only have extreme emotions as our solution, especially violence, because again, that's what we are inculcated with, this notion that violence is a fundamentally masculine trait. And then
Right.
because we don't know how to manage our feelings, we don't talk to people, we don't generally go to therapy, we then, when we have big feelings, we express it in the only way we know how, which is, outward physical manifestations of that anger, i.e. punching a hole in the wall, or, domestic violence, or, shooting, yeah.
Do you?
I was going to say violence is one of the few accepted, almost expected emotions that we can show. I wonder where that stoic expectation comes from, because I mean there are some cultures, right, around the world where even smiling as a guy is seen as weak. Right, there are certain pockets, and I wouldn't say Russia as a whole, but I mean that I've been to, where just smiling and being happy is generally sort of frowned upon as a guy. And I wonder sometimes if, because for example, I can talk about my dad died when I was young. He was dying for maybe a year, and he was in quite a bit of pain, but he never showed that to me. Right, I never had to see it. And as a child, I'm very thankful about that. He allowed me to not be concerned about him, because he kept that away from me. But then to others, right, his people he knew, he apparently, I've heard after the fact, he expressed that. I think that's an okay way to do it, in my opinion. Right. For example, your children are different. But I wonder if sometimes, if it's got to do with this idea of the man being provider, that you don't show that to the spouse. It's something I think about. Something I think about a lot and wonder about. But
I think that's a very good point, because I think historically speaking, men are viewed as like the foundation or the backbone of a society or their family unit. So if the man breaks down, shows emotions, then his family crumbles. Like the supporting structure crumbles. So a lot of times men suppress their feelings, so I guess others around them can still feel that sense of safety and protection. And society has advanced so much in the past, like 100 years. And I feel like that part of masculinity never got updated. And just there's no outlets in modern societies for men to express their feelings. Like if you're unlucky and you don't have a supportive family that allows you to show your feelings, there's really nowhere else in society where you can freely express yourself and get validated. I think I talked about very early on in our podcast that I kind of opened up to a couple of girls I was dating when I was younger, and the outcome was very negative. And I think a lot of guys experience that. So like once that happens to a boy or a man, like he will probably never do that again to anybody else. So I think the big societal problem, especially in America, because it's a giant pressure cooker from the second you get your student loans and go to college, and then you're just like you're on a trajectory. You have to produce. So I think society needs to change, give men some grace, and it's a huge issue.
Yeah. Listening to you guys, it definitely sounds like the perceived emotional stoicism that I think many men think is necessary nowadays comes from the viewpoint of perceived strength, or perceived, I'm hiding it away from my family or friends because I don't want to be seen as weak. And so it sounds almost like men perceive that to be a sign of strength and masculinity. Not saying that's right, but that's what it sounds like, that what you guys are saying. It's weird. I grew up, honestly, never even realizing that the stoicism was a thing. My dad was very expressive, very, very emotional. in both positive and negative. Like he definitely had some outbursts of things, but he also showed and expressed love, happiness, joy, and all of that stuff. I saw that from him. And he was the one, he cried during movies. My grandpa bawled his eyes out in movies. And it was just one of those things that I thought was normal. And so I actually never even realized this stoicism movement was a thing. And that, for better or for worse, I also then kind of I've had heartbreak as a young man, as a kid as well, but I never took those bad moments in the past and continued to kind of take it out on the next individual. Like I always kind of compartmentalize my bad situations because I'm like, okay, that happened, I'm gonna try better next time. That happened, I'm gonna try better next time. I never, all women. I never changed my mind or who I am as a person based on a previous experience. I was like, okay, maybe that was just a bad situation. I'm gonna try better next time. And that's just how I am as a person though. And I don't know if that's, it seems like that's not everyone.
No, I think you're one of the
Exactly.
lucky ones where your
Yeah.
family gave you room to express yourself.
Yeah.
That
And so do you think, oh, go ahead.
sorry, yeah, that probably explains why you're one of the most happy and self-confident people I know. You've had that space for you, right? I mean, this is a thing that, like, there are two paths you can take, right? I think that the stoicism is, in a sense, that a lot of guys think that life is a game of poker. If I don't show my cards, no one can judge me. No one can say anything. No one can, like nothing can happen to me. I just keep this in. There are some lucky ones that have, a handful of people, and I mean like 2 people maybe that they can really express themselves to. But, if that safety net fails, you're keeping it in basically. And then there's the other path, which is kind of like what I look through, like you, Mitch, and my brother, which are the kind of guys that are able to just put it all out there and then honestly not give a crap what anyone says. And it takes a lot. It really takes a lot to do that and to forge your own path.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Like I know we make fun of it, but we kind of talked about it before we started recording, but I get shit on from all angles, but I don't necessarily let it affect me. Like it just bounces off of me. One, maybe it's because I know you guys are kidding, but even to those people that are trying to be malicious towards me, I honestly do my best to where I'm like, okay, you're using, like, you're trying to make fun of me. I don't give a fuck about what you're trying to, like, you're trying to elicit an emotional response about who I am as a person. I just try not to let it affect me, but I don't know how I developed that so I can help others develop that themselves.
You had a
Yeah.
loving family, so you had a good sense of self. People that didn't
So,
have that,
yeah.
they're kind of stuck in this limbo fight or flight mode. So it's hard to regulate emotions, and that's why you get these school shootings. They just
So
blow the lid off.
you think it stems, these emotional outbursts and the inability for men to control their feelings is based on a lack of understanding and safe space to where they feel like they're in constant survival mode all the time. Like that's where you think that might stem from, or do you think there are other
I think
possible reasons?
that's 100% where it comes from. There's no safe place for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not at home,
you bottle
not at
it up.
school, not in society. I mean, how do you let it out?
I don't know. I'm trying to look back at, like,
You let it out in Taekwondo.
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah. So doing a martial art or doing something physical is a way to help regulate men's emotions?
That's absolutely valid. I mean, just anything physical is good for your mental health, right? Step one. And if that is if that creates a snowball effect that you feel a little bit better, you reflect on why you feel angry perhaps, and then you're able to express it a little bit better. And then all of a sudden, usually it gets resolved. Because I mean, we're talking about a lot of different things about anger here, but, I assume that this has to do with some kind of relationship anger, right? Or something that's perhaps not that you feel from the general public towards you, but maybe an issue that you have with certain someone. You get a little bit in a better mental state to address that with any kind of physical activity.
I think one of the biggest, so I remember this popping up in one of the articles that I've read, or just maybe it's multiple articles that I've read, but men lose control when they feel disrespected, whether it be men, women, and that feeling of being disrespected is one of those lines that when people cross, men feel like they have to do something to gain that respect back, that honor back. And I don't know what that means in that sense of like to be blatantly disrespected by, I don't know, any individual. Like, I guess a disrespect for me that would cross the line would be someone going on social media and completely saying something false. Like that's a blatant form of disrespect. But at the same time, like,
Ooh,
I don't.
that's gonna.
Yeah.
I
Sure.
mean, now we're posting our clips. That's gonna happen a lot more than you think.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. No, I don't disagree. But at the same time, I think we, with our conversations, there is proof to show our conversations are done in good faith, and what we're trying to do is finding the correct answer to help solve the problems for men and society in general. So I think that kind of gives us some grace in that sense. But I think if we're coming out and doing completely like bashing people and degrading other people, that's when, yes, that would be a line that I think it would be warranted to be disrespected back. But I don't know.
Can I add a different way of thinking
Sure.
about?
Yes.
You just said something. Solving the problem. Now, every time I learned this, so this is something I learned from my mother, actually. Every time she talked about an issue, and I tried to, talk to her about it, she would say, go back to your cave. And I never
What does that mean?
understood what the hell she meant about go back to your cave. And it took many years, and she tried to explain it. But basically, she would say that you men always kind of solve the problem. Right? Sometimes someone just needs someone to listen, like to hear them, understand
Okay.
what they're going through. It's not about solving the problem. And I thought that was ridiculous. And I think to some degree, think it's ridiculous. Like you either solve it or you don't solve it. Like what is the point of talking about it? But honestly, I mean, there is that state of just talking about it relieves the pressure. So I
But if you
think
don't
that
solve a problem, how do you?
okay, stop
Right.
thinking binary, Mitch. Like, okay, it took me years, so I shouldn't expect you to understand it in 5 minutes. But
No,
the
I know.
point is,
I'm being facetious. I
Okay.
get what you're saying.
Okay.
We are very engineer brained, and I think a lot of guys are trying to think very binary in that sense. And you're right. I think a lot of guys think in binary. It's right or wrong, good or bad, black and white. When in reality, we need to think about the gray in certain circumstances, because that is also a healthy outlet to solve these issues, maybe solve our issues. And maybe
We just need healthy outlets. Like I don't think there's any amount of work that a guy can do by himself on a large scale that will solve this issue. Like society has to provide outlets for men.
what's an outlet, guys? What would you find to be a healthy outlet?
Free karate classes for everybody.
Free karate classes for everybody.
Or
Okay.
free boxing gyms. I think that would be a start.
I don't know. A lot of
You
people
know,
would say that is a toxic form.
There's no, you start without words. You start with just physicality. And then once you release some pressure, then you start using words.
Alex?
There's a village in Peru, or maybe a region in Peru. It's called the Takanakui Festival, up in the Andes, and the people there every time of year around Christmas or so, they beat the ever loving shit out of each other to resolve their problems, leave things in the past, and then move on.
I love that.
That sounds like the purge without killing.
but it's not tainted by the like I don't think it's toxic. This is something that's cultural to this town up there, and
is it just guys?
No, everyone and their mother literally gets in these fights, and
Kids.
like they call out. I don't know exactly how it works, but I've seen a lot of articles about it and some short videos, and yeah, basically they're like, all right, I have a grievance with you. Let's settle this here and now. And they beat the shit out of each other. And then they're like, okay, that's settled. Let's continue on with our lives. And
we have that in Texas. It's called mutual combat.
What?
Yeah, it's 100% legal.
Interesting.
There's 2 states that have mutual combat, Texas and Washington. You can declare
Washington has mutual combat.
You can declare your intention to engage in mutual combat to a law enforcement officer, and then as long as you've done that, then you can engage in your mutual combat, and it's not illegal. You can beat the ever loving shit out of each other. So that's how you can.
And they can't use their guns.
Yeah, you can get away with like Fight Club type activities because you're engaging in mutual combat. So if you look at videos on like Instagram or whatever of amateur fight clubs, they're either in Washington or Texas, probably.
That's wild. And it's also like the complete polar opposite political spectrum too that allows it. That's all just an observation. That's interesting.
You mean Washington?
Yes. Yeah. Washington and Texas. But
I mean,
okay,
these are probably laws that have been in the books for a long time, because
right, but there's still, again, we still have current, like Texas and Washington still have crime and still have outbursts of domestic violence and men not being able to control themselves.
Well, yeah, it's because people don't know about the benefits of mutual combat. we need to spread the gospel. We need to spread the gospel.
I think our
mutual
next
combat.
governor needs to lean really hard on that for his campaign.
Social media protects ourselves from mutual combat too much. We need to not have that.
I actually had this idea for an app. It's like Fight Club.
It's like Tinder, but for Fight Club. Like,
people fight, and then they build a profile, and then they have like stats, and then
oh god,
and then you can bet on it.
I'll fuck him up right. Oof, no, left.
Yep. And then
I can beat him up. I can beat him up.
Once a year, there's like a big tournament.
You can, and then you have the paywall so that you can filter people by height, like Tinder's doing. But for this one, it's for fighting purposes and weight, and therefore, yeah, I think you might be onto something, Kevin. Fight Club, like a legalized Fight Club.
You want to build it with me?
You assume I can make an app just because I work at Google? I have no idea.
You can,
yeah, Kevin. That's
manage your engineers.
That's Kevin. Aren't you a software engineer?
No, I'm network.
A network engineer.
Get your engineering right, Mitchell.
God, it's the same thing. It's network. It's civil engineering is the only different one. I'm just kidding. Engineers are going to be in the comments, be like,
No,
civil
engineers.
What are they
Civil
going to be saying?
engineers are not engineers.
Civil engineers
No, they look up numbers and tables. I'll say it. Direct your attention to Mitch for this comment.
You're
Did we
gonna be up till
solve?
like 3 a.m. fighting people in the comments.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I need-
Sorry.
His
I'm trying
1-year-old
to get
child
the-
is going to be crying, screaming in bed in his crib, and his wife's
I
going to be
got it.
sobbing these tears of deep sadness while Mitch is sitting on his computer, just like hunched over, like a little gremlin responding to comments that disrespected him, and he has
This guy said
to
something
regain his honor
meaningful.
by arguing with strangers on the internet.
That's how I regain my honor. That's why people constantly fight in the comment section. I got to regain my honor. I said that because I'm half Asian, quarter Asian.
All right. Where are we? Where are we at?
I think we solved it. Bottom line, we need to have Fight Club. That's the solution.
It really is the worst solution. We talk about men's masculinity and how society doesn't allow us to express things, and our solution here, talking about it, is Fight Club.
In order to stop the violence, we must promote
Have
violence.
more violence.
Yeah. Controlled outlets of violence. I mean, what kind of?
I want
Could
people
you-
to follow us, not laugh at us. No,
Like
I
the
think
same?
it's a yeah, right. It's a hard solution because I think there are. I'm just trying to think of a time throughout history where America didn't have these like problems, and then I'm trying to look at like Europe maybe, and Finn maybe Finn can kind of talk through this since he's from
Ooh,
Sweden.
third places will probably help.
Places
Third
will help.
places.
Also, real quick, Mitchell, you just said, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. You said America didn't used to deal with this.
No, always has.
Always has. Okay.
always.
I was going to say, those were fighting words.
We gotta
if
check
you're
the
saying
tape.
that
Check the
America-
tape.
America always has.
Okay.
And so, like, for example, I grew up in Japan. Japan has a very, what's it called? They're not very violent people these days, right?
Excuse me?
Thank you,
Japan?
Oh,
Jesus.
these days. These
You're-
days.
I was
Yeah,
going to say, you're
these
saying that's
days.
a Chinese guy? Ooh.
Well, these
Well,
days,
Chinese spy activated.
they're very pacifist. They're very pacifist these days.
Except for
Most
their base that they
Europeans.
have in Djibouti. They're pacifists except for being selectively aggressivist with
In Japan?
one foreign military base.
But
Yeah,
here's
it's
the
a
thing.
Japanese.
How do they become pacifists? They got
So-
Incredible violence.
they got 2 sons dropped on them.
That is true.
So the only solution is violence.
Well, they got 2 sons dropped on them, and then they were occupied by the United States and basically turned into a colony. So the answer, if we follow this line of logic,
So we-
is we
have to-
nuke places and then we colonize them. But
Mhm.
only by being colonized can we then shed our violent existence as men. I'm just following the logic, Mitchell.
We solved it. Violence, extreme violence, overwhelming violence is the only solution.
No. So, and I don't know if this is something that can be done in the United States, and I don't know if this is one of the possibilities of why Japan the way it is right now. But when I grew up in Japan, went to Japanese school, and in elementary school from 1st grade to 4th grade, every week, once a week, twice a week, I think it depends. I had more as I aged. We had manners class. And it kind of taught us, hey, this is right, wrong. This is what you should do. This is like, I don't know. And that's so that
So
kind of helped.
you were taught submissiveness as the ideal trait to reduce violence. You submit and conform. Sorry, I'm just grilling you.
That is, we were raised at a young age to understand and respect one another. And I think that is like that is the difference in culture.
That's Asian culture in general. It's
Asian
very
culture.
hierarchical.
Yes, but they do things for the benefit of society
Right. It's a
At the expense-
collectivist.
at the expense
Society.
of individualistic tendencies, which I think
Yes.
is the big difference between America, some Asian countries, a lot of European countries. I don't know how to change that.
I'm sorry.
Is there a
but
better way?
How does this snake back to men expressing themselves and emotions? Sorry, please explain.
No, you're right.
It's a
We
great
completely
question.
went off the rail. So,
Can I ask?
so no,
can I
that
ask
goes,
this?
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
You asked about European culture, but I'm interested in, from your take, Japanese culture. Is there an ability in that culture as a man to express yourself more, or is the problem the same?
It's way less.
Honestly, okay. So Japan, even though I speak positively on their ability to be more pacifist, men, like the family culture, I think is still very conservative in that sense, where like the guy and girl, like the family, very traditional in that sense, where the girl, the woman will stay at home, take care of the kids, cook, clean, all of that stuff while the guy goes to work. That is kind of ingrained in that culture still. And it's not, I think it's evolved a little bit, but I do know Japan is still a very conservative country when it comes to traditional family type dynamics. But they still have that, hey, what's better for society is what we should be focusing on too, of what we should be doing. And I think but for expressing feelings, it's hard because I was still in elementary school and I think I didn't even know what feelings were at that time. And so like, it's hard for me to really understand what present as an adult, what they do. So I'm not very good at talking about that. But if you can express like what Sweden does.
Sweden has always, well, I shouldn't say always, but at least since the 60s and 70s and onwards, has been like ahead of the in terms of progressiveness, at least. So I grew up in a society where equality was much more of a thing, but it was equality across the board, right? So we're not just talking about women's equality but also I grew up with guys being stay-at-home dads, having, my brothers having feelings and emotions and expressing them without any real issue as well. And I think to Kevin's point earlier, right, Kevin, what you were saying, that you've gone through this process and that you've expressed yourself and then you've felt backlash about that. So you decided in the future to like hold back on that. I haven't experienced that since I came to the US. So there definitely is a difference in the society, that certain ways of expressing yourself are okay. Because in Sweden, what I remember, like guys can be, and we're not talking about anger here, right? We're talking about like, happiness, excitement, apprehension, all sorts of emotions. I feel there are allowed to be expressed in a different way.
Yeah. Okay, how about this? When you guys have expressed emotion, if you guys have expressed emotion, has there been any guys that have given you crap about expressing a specific emotion throughout your growing up? Because we talk about, guys don't want to hear about other guys' problems or emotions or anything like that. And everyone says like, I'm not allowed to express emotion. I've never experienced anyone tell me saying, why are you expressing happiness right now? We're not supposed to do that as men. Like I've never had anyone tell that to me. And I don't know if you guys have experienced that.
It's not that open. They don't say it like that. It's a series of like both verbal but also nonverbal cues that indicate someone's displeasure or chafing at you saying something or doing something, acting a certain way. I don't think it's ever, oh, you expressed happiness. What a silly little whatever. It's, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a more
I think
totalizing process that
it's when a guy that needs help that they don't know how to ask for it. It's not really about like if you're happy, like guys can be happy. Like there's nothing wrong about that. But it's like I think the issue is when a guy needs help, how does he reach out
Mhm.
Right, but
externally?
there's right, but we always give guys. We always talk about how guys aren't allowed to express feelings.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out where that
Expressing
comes
that
from.
you need help. Oh, I mean, they're just societal
Yeah, I mean,
norms.
But from like who
specific. I ran into that when I was in infantry school right after I enlisted, and like
So you were told in infantry
it's like what
like you're not allowed to express feelings.
along the lines of private. What the fuck are you smiling at? Private. What are you? It's a process when you enlist in the military in the United States. You go through when you enlist specifically. I don't think it happens as much on the officer side. Um, you undergo a process of wiping clean the slate. You erase the individual and build somebody who's ready to be part of a collective to receive orders and carry them out without question and to
Yeah.
charge forward. And yeah, so during the process of like when I was in infantry school, between drill sergeants and also all of these other men, I was 19 when I went into infantry school, and there were people, there were 17-year-olds all the way up through, at the time, I think the oldest you could be was like 41 or 42 with a waiver. So we had people from across different generations going and interacting with each other in an incredibly stressful environment where, the Army's trying to reshape who you are as a person to prepare you for combat. And this was at a time when, the surge in Iraq and Afghanistan, or Iraq was starting to wind down. The surge in Afghanistan had been going on. And, they also had a lot of recruiting problems. So they had a lot of what I think, like the recruiting standards were lower at the time. So you had a lot of people coming in from really from all walks of life. And then
Right.
taking that all together, mixing it all together in this environment where they are actively trying to suppress anything other than unbridled hatred and anger because they're preparing you to get ready to go, ship out to a unit and then go to war. Like, yeah, during that time, that was specifically done. Like a lot in our society, we view the military as one of the sort of the pinnacle of everything that is masculine. And,
Less than 1% of Americans join the military.
but your question
And
was
so-
where have people gone and experienced it? I experienced it firsthand, and those kinds of narratives make their way into
Oh, I
media
see what
and
you're
depictions about the military. And,
Yeah.
the even though less than 1% or whatever the statistic is for it, um, the fact is that there is a broader cultural narrative about what the military is and what the military does as part of the American nationalist project that I think has an effect on everybody. Everyone's taught to worship the military. It's all everyone's heroes in the military, and they are to be emulated and looked up to. And we have law enforcement and firefighters who are, a lot of them are veterans, but a lot of those organizations they are organized around the military in a paramilitary style. And so like a lot of our society is ordered in a way that reflects the military. And so even though it's a small percentage of people that actually go in, I don't think it can be understated the total impact that it has culturally. And so
I
that's
didn't think about that.
my direct experience with it is
No,
I encountered that a lot.
That makes a lot of sense. And how we definitely put police, firemen, firefighters, military all on a pedestal to emulate. And so everyone's like, oh, they're good leaders. They're good people like to run this country. And so
Yeah,
like,
the number
I can see that.
the number
I
of
can see
people that specifically worship the special forces community, and I don't really want to go down this rabbit hole too much, but everyone hero worships, especially Navy SEALs. And there's that one book from, I don't even remember who wrote it, but it's something to the effect of like extreme ownership. And
Oh,
Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah. Jay something,
I
the
couldn't.
bald guy,
I couldn't tell you the name, but basically,
Sako something.
as I said, I couldn't tell you the name, but basically, this book, this premise of this is again the pinnacle of masculinity. This Navy SEAL and his ideas and his philosophy on taking ownership of things that you do is being taught to people. Like the joke is that, yeah, my boss made me read that to become a better leader. I work in sales. It's like, what the fuck why would a car salesman or a tech salesman have to go and read this Navy SEAL extreme ownership, other than, again, like the way that we've structured our society is such that by basically worshiping these figures and seeking to emulate them, like we're also taking on the, I guess, the toxicness, if you will, of what they bring. Because I mean, let's be honest, you have to be a little bit toxic to occupy other countries. But like, if you're going to go be an occupier somewhere and shoot people, there's probably some toxicness that you have to be able to do that. So,
Yeah. No, I think that's a good perspective that I didn't necessarily think about, and how America definitely puts the military at a very, very high pedestal. So
America is three defense contractors in a trench coat that backs up a military that goes around the world to pay the military contractors. So,
Finn, what were you saying, Finn?
No, I was gonna say, yes, America does it, but I think it goes deeper than that. When Kevin, you mentioned earlier, you said a comment about men being sort of the backbone, and I think to some sense, like an argument against that, which is that men are the ones that go to war. Here's an argument: men are the ones that go to war because you need women to have children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think historically about that, physically, like it's just nature. You need X amount of women to have a certain amount of population. You don't need as many men. Men are more expendable. So basically, I'm not saying that this is the case. I'm sort of just posing the thought that, it may not be, there's always this idea of like nature versus nurture. Nature, is this biologically who we are, versus nurture, is this how we've been raised and society has like created us, right? There's always that back and forth. You can say it's nature, that this is just the way we are, or nurture. And so sometimes I wonder if it is a little bit of nature, just because of the biological fact that maybe that is what creates it this way. So maybe it's not just the US. I mean, it's definitely not just the US that looks up to the military.
Yeah. But like, so I'm in the military. Alex, you're in the military, but we can still express feeling. And so
Well,
there's
here's
also
the
a
thing,
difference between, I don't know, whatever, like space desk jockey pencil pusher bullshit versus being combat arms. The combat arms world is very different.
I was in combat arms. I was in Ranger school. I did all the same stuff that you probably did.
I never went to Ranger school. Fuck that noise.
It's just one of those things that's like, you don't, just because you went to a specific school and got broken down doesn't mean you lose your humanity. Like that's the other thing. I think people forget that to feel, to be happy, to express, to love is to be human, is to have human, like to be human. And I feel like
a strong military needs soldiers that don't feel and just follow orders. That's why they break you down, isn't it?
So,
I'd say so.
Yes. But then we also realized, like, as we've matured in a military, we've realized that if we do that, we could potentially cause more issues in the long term.
Yeah, we found out about it the hard way. Where what's the rate? 22 a day, 22 suicides a day.
Like Finn says, like men are disposable. but you need them. It's like you're soldier ants. You need soldier ants to.
Yes, but that's
Only if you've
we are
decided
not,
that you need to go to war.
we're not in World War II anymore.
Because America did so much shit around the world. If we don't have a strong military to keep our place as number one, then we're fucked.
Yes, but strength is not always the larger amount of people. To be more efficient, to be smarter, to be more technologically advanced could be considered strong.
Which
And
is
I
why we
think
should
that's
have
what-
businessmen running the country. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We're not gonna go
37
down that
trillion in debt.
what I'm saying though is the traditional sense of having the broken down grunt being on the battlefield of Germany and Russia from World War II. That's wars of the past. We've seen right now in Ukraine and Russia how you need to have smaller form factor teams that are nimble, that are mobile, that are technologically advanced to be able to beat an army. Like Ukraine is winning, and they
This is
are
probably straying a little far afield from our topic.
That's fair. That's
I-
fair. But what I'm saying, yes. So
I what I would love to hear, I think we started talking about it, but we didn't really get into it, is
okay.
what would everybody, I guess, what activities do you do when you are feeling a certain way and you know that it could be going a bad direction? Then what do you do to remedy that? I'll start just as an example. When I get really upset, which doesn't happen often, it takes a lot to get me really upset, and to get me upset in a way that I don't think is useful. I think that there are good forms of anger, a righteous anger you can use you can channel that into undertaking projects or doing things to resolve the source of your anger. It's more so the when you get to the level of, oh man, I want to go punch a wall, or I want to go, shoot something or whatever. Instead of doing those things, what can we do? So for me personally, whenever I feel dysregulated, my body starts going into that fight or flight mode. I know that I'm not thinking rationally. I either like to, I like to do a few different things. Sometimes I'll go and play very destructive video games and just, find some me time, play some destructive video games. It's all virtual. It's not hurting anybody. Sometimes I'll disappear into my little workshop and I'll tinker on things that, I, I have been meaning to work on for some time, trying to repair small appliances, or I don't know, sometimes building wood. I'm trying to get into like woodworking as a hobby, and I also like to put my energy into that. So those are just some of the ways. And what I find is it's really hard to stay mad at something else in the world when you're currently mad at trying to figure out the fucking dimensions for something that's just not going together. And you're like, wait a minute, did I measure this right? Did I do this? You find out you measured something an inch too short, or you did your math wrong. And yeah, it's hard to stay mad at anything else when you're caught up doing something. So my advice, build something with your hands. If you're feeling angry, create instead of destroy, and maybe it'll help you at least find an outlet, channel that anger into creating something beautiful, some art or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Finn, what do you do when you're mad? Are you mad? Do you ever get mad?
Well, I get mad. First of all, I would like to agree with Alex. Take your anger out. As a European, I will say this: take your anger out on the U.S. measurement system. Good God, yeah. I do woodworking as well.
Sure,
and everything
there's
I
only
watch.
one country. There's only one country that landed on the moon, and
And
that
it was
was
NASA, and they used metric. You know this, Mitch. Um,
Oh shit.
no, it's so as a child, I mean, growing up, I had a lot of low blood sugar issues, meaning I wouldn't eat and it would just boil over. So for good, I mean, for better or worse, I learned that way to sense, oh, something's coming up and I don't know what it is, but I'm pissed off. My method right now, and I'm still trying to figure this out, my method right now is to isolate myself. I remove myself from the situation because I'm angry about something. I don't know what it is. I mean, like we talked about earlier, I'm married with 2 little kids. So usually it's got it's got something to do with that. And I don't want to unnecessarily take the anger out on my family. But the problem I'm having right now, I can say, is that obviously if I get angry, it's visible. And when I remove myself, it's very visible. And so I translate, I mean, I express that without meaning it. I express that anger to my family that I'm pissed off and I've removed myself. And now I have an apprehensive family that, walking on eggshells because I'm angry. And, in my mind, I'm like, I was angry. I removed myself, everything is good. So sometimes it's just, and I don't think this is the guy thing necessarily. Sometimes I think it's just difficult when that bubbles up. Right, that happens. I think that happens to everyone. But I think that if you're better at expressing yourself, then you can at least say, look, I'm angry about something, not your fault. I got to figure this out and remove yourself. And that might be a better way to deal with it.
So I'm going to push back just a little bit because I think this is where we can get into a slippery slope. And I think a lot of guys are having issues with removing themselves from the situation, being alone. That's where you get a lot of these suicides that are happening, because I think a lot of men will, they're angry. They don't know how to necessarily get through that anger. They will remove themselves from the situation, quite literally. And even though they look at the situation and say, hey, I'm the problem. I need to remove the problem. And so I think although I'm not suicidal, you're not suicidal, many people think that removing themselves from the situation does help, but there are some guys that need to find out a different outlet and a different way to express or get rid of their anger and get rid of their emotions in a way that is around people. I'm not providing a solution. I'm just, hey, keep that in mind as you come up with different solutions for those that are listening. I think it is healthy to remove yourself from a situation. However, just be aware to not bottle yourself up and get into that rabbit hole and beat yourself up, so that you think the only solution is to remove yourself completely. I think just keep that in mind as you guys try to come up with solutions to remove that anger. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I should add that this has to do, like, you have to be introspective after the fact, right? It takes time to develop that. And that is the kind of time, like, if you do, to your point, Mitch, if you do remove yourself, have some outlet that you can get to help you navigate that. Yeah.
absolutely, for sure. So Kevin, what about you?
I think everybody kind of has their own way of dealing with it. I mean, I like to go on walks. I think it really clears my mind. I like writing things down. And sometimes if I have like existential crisis, I'll listen to like philosophy podcast. Maybe there's some answers there. I feel like sometimes finding a escape doesn't really solve the problem. It will just like numb the problem for a little while. And then once you're done with your like video games or I don't know, movie, like you're back where you started. So,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
I think we need a way for guys to like. So, like, what would you guys say if you needed help? How would you go about asking it? Like, if you're,
Oh, I like that.
I think a lot of guys don't know how to do that.
Mm. So I think eh, I'll provide two possible solutions, because I think one solution would be finding a friend group or a leader that you look up to, that you feel like you can reach out to, ask them for help, be like, hey, sir, hey, man, I'm struggling. I don't know how to get out of the situation that I'm in. I'm looking for recommendations. If they are a good leader or a good friend, they will call you, they will sit you down and hopefully provide you with those specific outlets. The problem you have with the other side is that you have people that don't have that outlet. You don't have that friend group. You don't have that leader. That one's hard, because then, possible solution. There's a lot of forums on Reddit of that have like, hey, mental health, r/mental health, r/ I need help, or like there's a bunch of different subreddits that are, people are there asking for help. They're reaching out. And I remember 2 months ago when I first started this podcast, I went there and I was just reading these, that people are asking for help. And people are responding in those comments of like, oh, you should try this, or hey, I'm here to call, I'm here to talk, I'm DM me, blah, blah, blah. Like, people are there. And I think that is a possible way. Like, if you don't have anyone from a family or friend perspective or a leader, reach out to online social media like avenues, but or us. I mean, we're here. We'd be happy to help and talk, but it's just one of those things that social media, that I think is one of the benefits of social media, is being able to do that. And hopefully someone will be there to help you out. So maybe, I don't know if you guys have another possible solution for that.
How do we
I-
get to that point where like if you need help, you have to go online and ask for it? Like,
Yeah, because asking for help takes work, man. Like that's
right,
the
but
thing.
like you have friends that you grew up with, you have family, and
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, we are so fundamental. I get totally what you're saying, Kevin. I think we are so fundamentally alienated from one another that we end up in this position, where we turn to strangers on the internet because whoever we grew up with, I think this is a good example. Three of us having gone to one school, then two of you having gone to another school, spending time at a younger, earlier stage of our lives, and now we're at complete different parts of the country. So the ability to call up a buddy and say, "Hey, I really need someone to listen to me. Let's go grab a coffee or grab a beer or whatever." You can't do that anymore. And if you move somewhere new and then you try to find friends, everyone's either in the same position as you are. They're having a rough time finding friends because they also moved there, or the people who already live there and have been there for a long time are established in their friend group and don't really need more. So like, yeah, I agree 100% with what Kevin's saying. And like, how did we get here? It fucking sucks that we arrived at
does.
this point.
It does.
And I mean, to I guess counter that perspective though, there is the whole notion of like, all of us from earlier parts of our lives are now back in touch with each other and talking about these things. So it's doable. It took, I think, Mitch reaching out to everybody and saying, "Hey, you want to talk about these things and record it and put on the internet to be forever."
But you bring up a fantastic point, Alex. It is, I've reached back 10 plus years of my life of friends,
Yeah. I mean,
I
the
don't
last
have
time I talked to you was I saw you coming home from Korea in 2020, 2021, somewhere back then. And then,
right. Still
yeah,
5 years.
it's
Kevin,
been a long time.
before that, it was like last time I talked to Kevin in person, I think it was like 2018, 2019. Finn. But it just goes to show how difficult it is to find true friends.
Mhm.
I don't have any of my current work friends that I have on this show. Like it's crazy how difficult it is to find new friends. And I think, okay, that being said, I also think like part of the millennial problem is nostalgia. And we're like, oh, I remember back in the day, we had such a good time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh, one, I just love you guys in the first place, but it's just one of those things that we like to look back fondly on memories of the past. And I don't know if it's just a millennial thing, but I think it's people in general. And so like it is just something I don't know if that's a normal thing. Is that a human thing or is that a millennial thing?
I think nostalgia is a
But
perfectly normal thing that probably most
Yeah.
people experience. And there's nothing inherently wrong with nostalgia. It's being so invested in that nostalgia that you seek to return to an earlier time when that's not possible. That does tremendous psychological damage. Like the fact of the matter is we can never turn back the clock and go back to those good old days. Being able to recognize that and and uh say out loud, this is something I cannot control. That's true stoicism. That's true philosophical stoicism, which is accepting the things in your life that you cannot control and making peace with that. Not let me bottle up my feelings until I want to shoot up whatever look like that. That is not stoicism. True stoicism is accepting that which you cannot control. That Yeah, it's funny. It's funny the way that a lot of people use stoicism these days. But yeah, we have to accept that we cannot turn back the clock, and we also have to recognize the problem. Saying it out loud, we are fundamentally alienated from each other due to the material forces that shape our lives. The way that our economy is such that in order to find a job, I have to relocate across the country if I want to have any hope at a career. Um, Especially if you work in, I'm going to imagine, Finn, your experience has probably been one that keeps you moving every so many years because, the way that those industries work, like the tech industry I have friends that do like engineering and construction and they're moving around a lot. Thankfully, as a union member, as an electrician, I get to stay in one locality. Although that's not a guaranteed thing because depending on the given economy, at any time, that could, right now we have really high unemployment in my local union. And I don't know that things are looking better at the moment. So there are people that are leaving and traveling to go elsewhere for work.
I also think it's hard to gain friends at your work or your job or the place that you relocated to because of the nature of your jobs in general. Because depending on where you work, your coworkers are also the ones that you're fighting against to rank up and become a manager and like all that kind of stuff. So like it's not something that is like you might be friends with them, but you're also in the back of your head like I have to be better than this person or I have to sabotage this person in some way, shape, or form in order to promote. I'm not saying that is factual everywhere, but I think that might be something that some people think about in the back of their head. And so you can't gain true friendship if you're also thinking how you can better this person in some way, shape, or form. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Is this how you treat your peers in the military, Mitchell?
absolutely not because I know I'm better. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Because I know I'm
totally
better than
kidding.
them. I know I'm better
No,
than
no,
them.
no.
Promote ahead of peers.
No, no, I've experienced that 100% where everyone's in the same year group and everyone's competing against one another in some way, shape, or form. I have of the opinion where I'm like, hey, if the work that I do doesn't get acknowledged, then military's not for me. Like that's my perspective on it. Like I have the skills that where I will be fine outside of the military, and so I'm not pressured to sabotage anybody at all. Like I'm trying to build people up if they're needing help. I'm just that type of person though. I want to help my peers. I know that is the case, not the case for a lot of other people though. They are combative and competitive, and they don't care how they get to the top if it's at the expense of others. So again, I think that it's based on your personality. I don't care about like necessarily ranking up in the sense of at the expense of others. I want to make sure everyone is happy, healthy, and I'm creating a positive work environment. That's just me though.
I'm gonna back up Mitch here, talking as someone who's going into a director role. If you make yourself irreplaceable, no one will replace you. Meaning, if you don't teach others the things that you know, then you'll never be able to level up.
Right. I teach my subordinates to replace me, so then I can go to the next job. Like that's how I'm perceiving it all. I'm not trying to. I don't know. I think, and that's so we have to change the way society views the world in America, and I think that's the challenge that we face: is how do we make it so that not everyone feels like they're in survival mode. Not everyone feels like they have to like degrade everyone else at the rank up at the expense of others. And that is, I think, then that is the solution. What are your thoughts?
Just
What
do
you
it.
described is fundamentally against our capitalist system.
No, I don't think so.
I agree.
I don't think so.
Say what you
because
just said again.
There are other countries that are capitalistic in nature that ensure that are not dealing with the same problems that the states have. Like just because something is capitalist does not necessarily mean you're degrading someone's feelings, or you're bringing someone down.
Capitalism doesn't care about feelings. It cares about profits. Feeling is not part of the equation.
That's not necessarily true, because
It's
some
1,000% true.
No, because there are some countries that you can be extremely profitable. You can be extremely profitable and not destroy your workers.
But you can make more profits if you do destroy them.
See, I think that's
the idea. Kevin, your idea is that it's a zero-sum game.
It is.
It's not a zero-sum game. Trade has always been better than war. The zero-sum game idea has always put things back. To go back to expressing strong emotions. I wanted to say earlier, I've always liked the saying, at 20, you care what everyone thinks. At 40 years old, you don't care. And at 60, you realize that no one gave a shit anyways. The goal is get to that point mentally before you're that point age.
Become a 60-year-old man inside.
That's essentially it. Sometimes I feel that way. I just don't give a shit, and I've been happier since. And Mitch has beat us all to it, and he's pretty happy.
Except when it comes to the TikTok comment section.
That I act like a 60-year-old man.
He's also like a 6-year-old man when it comes to comments online, because he's never been on the internet, and he responds to them.
It's kind of cute, to be honest.
That's very cute. It's adorable. It's like baby's
I respond to everybody.
Baby's first TikTok comments.
Yeah, I want to make sure I respond to everyone. I care about everyone's feelings.
A troll of yours. I'm sorry I made you feel that way.
On that note, Finn, I think you finished this. You closed out this episode tremendously. I think we'll end it there. For next episode, what do y'all want to talk about? Or we just come? We'll just wing it.
I submitted a list of topics that I think would be pertinent.
This is true. All right. We'll surprise the listeners for next time. But Finn, I am glad you were back. I always appreciate your perspective on things. You are the wise man that I've always looked up to. And so thank you for being back. I'm hoping it won't be another 2 months before you come back. Alex, you too. You come. Kevin, you too. I'll honestly, everyone, you guys bring a perspective that I really, truly appreciate. I do want to close out that this is my venting period. This is how I better myself and my mental health, is talking to you guys, talking to my friends again. So I want to say thank you for that. And you allow me, even though you give me shit for expressing my feelings, I know you're just joking. Even if you're not, I don't give a fuck.
There you go.
Yep. All right. Hey, if you guys made it this far, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and let us know what your thoughts are on this. And we will see you guys next time.